Chops Guthrie's a busy man, so you've got to be up early to catch him. Recently, I caught up with him to discuss his success in the fight against wild dogs and pigs that have been threatening his family property in southeast New South Wales. I was surprised to learn just how much damage pigs are causing in this part of the world, and I was also surprised to learn how effectively they can be controlled. Let's find out more from Chops. Chops, how are you, mate?
Good, Tim. How are you going?
Thank you for having us out here. This is a third generation family farm?
Yeah, we're going into the fourth generation now. We've got a couple of little grandkids running around, so
that's
yeah,
awesome,
hopefully
mate.
they'll be into it as well in the future. Yeah.
You got some fantastic old infrastructure, mate. People sweated and laboured over putting these posts in probably, what, about 100 years ago?
Yeah, most of the fences around here are probably getting on close to 100 years old, and they're just starting to, a lot of the posts are starting to rot off, and we've got to look at new ways of fencing, and we're going with some electric suspension fencing.
So you're not like some people that just replace what Grandad did with exactly the same thing again. You're looking at options that are out there in the marketplace now, and you've got a few advantages through that.
Oh yeah, it's we've just put a big suspension fence with the Gallagher's electric energisers on them at the back here to keep out all the feral pests and that, which are becoming a real problem.
And that's what I want to have a talk to you about today. You started with a bit of a problem that you're trying to control, which was wild dogs.
Yeah, a couple of years ago we got hit with wild dogs and we lost a couple of hundred sheep, and they're continuing all the time. We've got the LLS trappers here, and they're every week or fortnight they're catching some way out the back here. They're going to be a problem forever, I think, in this environment.
So Chops, finally here we are at the fence. This is a fence that you've modified to solve problems, but you haven't thrown away everything that you had, have you? You've still got the original strainer assemblies, but you've gone up in height. Talk me through why you went up in height on this fence.
Yeah, dogs, roos, deer, and so when we put this fence up, we decided to go that extra 600.
Yeah.
So we've just welded a piece of post, cut it and welded it onto there.
A bit of 100 NB just slid over the top of the railway iron. So you've kept your old original end assemblies. You've also kept the steel posts that were part of the fence as well. You haven't thrown them away, you've reused them with the new fencing design?
Yeah, we pull the old fence down and utilise the iron posts. Because with this suspension fencing, you just need an iron post every third dropper. So you're reducing the number of posts in the fence line per metre. That's right.
So it's lowering your cost.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because these plastic droppers are a lot cheaper than a steel post, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Yep.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the fence design in between the end assemblies. How far apart are the steel posts now?
Well, they're 9 metres.
So 9 metre spacing between steel posts?
Yeah. Depending on the hill. If you're going over a hill or in a gully, you've got to put a couple more. Otherwise, they'll be too high off the ground or too on the ground. So it just depends on the terrain.
Now, this was a fence that was designed to stop dogs. That was its purpose. So tell me how many hot wires you've got in this fence and where they are, what their spacing is.
Well, there's 4 hot. The bottom's hot, which is 100 mil from the ground. And then we have a hot, earth, hot, earth, hot, hot. And then the 2 top ones are just earth. Which is good for lightning and stuff. You don't want to run your top wire necessarily hot, do you? No, you'll blow your energisers up there.
Has it stopped the dogs?
Well, touch wood, yes.
Yeah.
We haven't had the main reason we put it up was we got a big hit by dogs, and one year we lost over 200 sheep. And it was just getting out of control. The LLS trappers were coming in, they were catching the odd one, but we were still getting pressure. So we bit the bullet and said, if we're going to be here farming and doing it properly, we need to do something about it, and this was the solution. This is the best insurance that we've got, and I think it's one of the best investments we've probably done on the property.
So you reckon it's already paid for itself?
Oh, hell yeah, hell yeah.
What about roos? Does it stop roos? I notice there are some options with these fences where you can go higher and lower and higher and lower and higher and lower. You don't prescribe to that. You like your fence all at the one height. Tell me the reason for that.
Well, it's more like a picket fence. If an animal's coming along and you've got one at 150, then the next one's 2 or 1200.
Yeah.
They've got a visual go-through zone, and they'll attack that.
So they'll see the posts and they won't necessarily see the wire.
Well, yeah.
And they'll put pressure on the fence.
Well, I've had roos on this, and they'll just go along it, because
righto.
So if you put pressure on an animal, he's going to go through.
Yeah.
But normally, under normal circumstances, they won't. I think it's visually a barrier to them, being all the same height, all at 1500s.
So you've got the psychological barrier of the power, you've got the physical barrier of the close wires, and you've got the visual barrier of an even, solid-looking fence.
Yeah, and I think it altogether it works really good.
So Chops, this is what you've been replacing, mate. This is what doesn't work against dogs, roos, deer, pigs, wombats. It doesn't work against anything, does it? I mean, they just punch holes in the netting fence.
It doesn't work against sheep much either.
Well, not anymore, eh?
But, she's due for renewal, this bit.
Now, over here we've got some pine trees, and this plantation is harbouring quite a few pests that are coming onto the place, isn't it?
Well, there's everything in there, mate. There's pigs, roos, deer, dogs.
Yeah.
You name it. It's a breed. That's where they breed.
And to tell that the fence is working, I mean, where we were before is probably a K that way, and that's where you were getting the dog attacks, and that's where you're suffering the losses. You're now starting to suffer losses here because they're tracking around the fence and trying to find a weak point in your armour.
Yeah, that's right. The last attack we've had, we believe, came from this end. Yeah, we had a bit of a touch up here a couple of months ago.
Yeah, right. The good news is the pine plantation's come to the party. They're supplying some materials, and you're going to be putting up a fence this winter.
They do supply some of the materials, yes, and this is the next job on the list.
Yep.
And to do right down this side, yeah.
Now, the surprising thing is, when you put this fence in for the dogs, yeah, you got the benefit of the roos, and everyone thinks of that. But the surprising thing is you're also stopping pigs. Let's go and have a look at that.
Yeah, they're becoming a big problem. There's no doubt about that, and I think this will be the same solution for that problem.
So you wouldn't normally think of pigs being a significant pest species in the high country of the Monero around Delegate, but they're becoming more and more of a problem, you reckon, Chops?
Yeah, well, they've started turning up around here, quite a bit, and they've been seen around here, and actually there's some activity here. Look, we'll just have a bit of a look at this.
Yeah, right. This is fresh?
Yeah, in the last couple of days, yeah.
That's a bit of damage, isn't it? How many pigs do you reckon have been doing that, mate?
Oh, there's obviously been 2 or 3 or so here. Yeah,
2 or 3. Now, it's not just the ploughing of the paddock and the loss of pasture that's a problem with pigs, is it? They carry disease as well, mate.
That's right. The diseases that they can carry can go into your sheep and livestock. Yeah.
Cause abortions and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And that drives up your cost of production, doesn't it? Because you're not only losing lambs, but you're also having to treat your livestock with very expensive chemicals to compensate for the pigs.
Well, that's right. If there is an outbreak of it, it'll be a very expensive exercise. Yeah.
So Chops, I'm interested in the biosecurity impact that these pigs are having potentially on sheep farms up around the Delegate area, and you reckon Ian in here at Delegate Nutrients the man to talk to about that sort of thing?
Yeah, I do. Come on in and I'll introduce you to Ian.
Fantastic. Ian, how are you, mate?
G'day Tim, good, nice to meet you.
So Ian, it's fair to say you've got a wealth of experience in finding solutions to diseases for farmers. That's your job.
Yeah, that is, yeah.
You're starting to see quite a few concerning diseases come in through pigs running where there are sheep.
Yes.
Tell me about a couple of your major concerns that you've got with people not controlling pigs.
Well, the 2 big ones are erysipelas and leptospirosis. Now, leptospirosis has been around for quite a while, and it's almost a standard management product now, particularly in cattle. But in the erysipelas in sheep is just starting to be really aware of. We've got producers who target the high-end market, so they do quality lambs, and they get a contract at really good money to put them directly into an abattoir. That abattoir gives them feedback so they can improve their product in terms of feeding, size, fat cover. But what these producers are finding is that there's a lot of condemnations, in some cases up to 25%, or either fully condemned or partially condemned because of the arthritis in the joints caused by erysipelas, and I'm almost certain it's from pigs because it hasn't been a problem historically.
Up until now.
Yeah, so,
and now pigs are emerging as a problem.
Yeah,
so stepping back a bit, leptospirosis causes abortions.
Yes.
So you can lose 20, 30% of your lambs to lepto.
An abortion storm can be just absolute disaster, 40%, yeah.
So you don't even have the sheep to graze and to sell.
No, that's right.
Or you can get erysipelas, which causes arthritis in the joints,
that's right.
and up to a quarter of your carcass can be rejected by the producers.
Or 25% of total carcasses can have some sort of rejection, either total or partial. Yeah.
So that's not only...
That's worst case scenario, but quite often it's 8 to 10%, yes.
So that's not only then a cost on the producer when they come to sell the product or not have the product, but the cost of control is huge too.
Yes, that's right, yes.
Because you were saying that there are a couple of vaccines, both for those, but they're very expensive.
Leptospirosis, the leptospirosis, particularly the 7-in-1 in cattle, is a standard management nowadays. Mainly, I think, because leptospirosis is spread between cows, as well as the pigs bring it in.
So the pigs are a vector, but once it's there, it's spread.
You've got it. It's like varroa mite. No chance of getting rid of it. You just have to keep, and the vaccine there in that case is 5 to 6 times more expensive.
Wow.
And then there's a new one, or relatively new on the market, 8 to 10 years. I do know of one producer who has been using the product off-label when it was in pigs only, and it's called, the new one's called Arivac, and that seems to be, and we're just waiting on all the lambs to come through to the abattoirs to see the guys that are using it to make sure that it is working, but it does seem to be reducing that arthritic sort of condensation a lot, and it's once again 6 times as much.
So the cost of management and the cost of non-management is just catastrophic to growers, but there is a solution, isn't there?
There is a solution.
And you sell it.
Yes.
Let's go and have a look at it.
Righto, no worries. All good.
So Ian, we can use a lot of chemicals and we can use a lot of veterinary treatments, and you'll certainly help people with that. But there's a simpler solution, isn't there?
My word, yeah.
6 steps of biosecurity. One of them is keep ferals off your property.
Just keeping them out. And this is, electric fence has been around for a long time. My grandfather was an electrical engineer, and he had a battery connected to something else, when he had a little hobby farm down the coast in 1966, and I can still remember he put a can on the wire, and because he thought that, and these bulls licked it. Well, I don't think he ever got it out through the gate. But
not that we would ever recommend putting a can on the fence.
Nowadays, electric fences have come a long, long way. In the good old days, you had an electric fence, just very slow pulse. The new ones start off low. This one here will put out 120 joules. A taser will do 100, but it takes a second and a half to get there. So if you get caught in it, you've got time to get it out. The monitoring is the big thing.
These will tell you when there's a problem on your fence, won't they?
Remotely.
Yeah, through your phone.
Well, you can be at the tennis, the cricket. That back paddock's gone again. But also there's some new product from the Gallagher mob, and they've got a plastic post, which the wire goes through the post. Traditionally, you've had your electric fence as an offset, just an invitation for trouble.
Get it on the fence.
Get it on the fence.
Get rid of that barbed wire and get the electric on the fence.
And get these plastic droppers, strain it up as tight as you can go, and then under the gates and all that sort of thing, quality cable. It's not hard to have a foolproof system.
And you're selling a lot of it.
My word, we don't sell a lot of traditional fencing now. Legacy fencing, I like to call it, which I probably should, but it's a thing of the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good on you, mate. I better go out and see Chops again. We're going to stand in front of the legacy fence,
Yeah.
and we're going to have a look at how pigs have been getting into that paddock through the legacy fence.
Right. All right.
All right. Thanks for your time,
okay.
mate.
Good on you.
So this is a pretty typical fencing option, isn't it, Chops, for people that are trying to keep animals not only in but out as well. We've got some 890/30 here, got some save wires, some barb on the top, because apparently people reckon that's really important. Is it working?
Well, it's keeping the sheep in, but it's not keeping
the pigs out.
That out. As you can see, they've probably been under here,
and that's an important point too with this sort of fence, is that the pigs aren't going through it, they're actually just going under it. If a pig can wallow in the ground and dig up, they can dig under your fence too.
he gets his head under there, his body will follow. You know.
So the advantage with your fence is because you've got a hot wire down low, he's not so inclined to get his nice wet snout anywhere near that fence, is he?
No, and if he does, he'll get a good big kick behind him. Yeah.
So this sort of fence, no good for pigs?
No, it doesn't seem to be.
Have you had any pig incursions where you've used your suspension fencing at all?
No.
None at all?
No. There was signs before we put it up.
Yeah.
And we did have pigs in the paddocks next door.
Yeah.
But they haven't been back, so it's definitely working. Yeah.
So if you want to have biosecurity for your property, you want to be able to sell your sheep disease free, and you want to lower the cost of production and not have to buy expensive chemicals, if you put up an electric fence that's actually cheaper because you use less steel per metre, you'll achieve all of that plus save money on your fence as well.
Oh, and more efficient, you know. And you know, once you put the electric fence up on your boundary, like I've said before, you can run your internals off it later or do whatever you want. You can build on that main building block, you know.
Yeah, right. So just get it right and get a high horsepower energiser to begin with. Don't scrimp money at the start, and then you won't be chasing your tail.
That's right. You'll always want to increase it because you'll realise it works and it's bloody good. Yeah.
If you want to find out more from people like Chops about good farming and fighting pest animals, make sure you hit the subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, but more importantly, send this video to someone who's got a pig problem.